Let me know we're in the right direction. Okay, yeah.
Can you see?
I can see you.
Okay, so what if the speaker moves down here? Can you see them?
Yes.
Okay. Assalamualaikum, peace be unto you. Welcome to our first Health Awareness Day. I just want to take a moment and introduce the speakers. Really never do the opening and welcome and all that good stuff, but I just wanted to let everybody know who the speakers are. Got me this way, don't understand. But our first speaker is Sister Marelena. And I put her down as a nutritionist, is that correct? Okay, she's going to be she's a nutritionist. Then the next one is Sister Brianna Ricks, and she's with the American Heart Association. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but February not only is Black History Month, but it's Heart Health Month. And with a whole lot of emphasis on women's health. That's coming from me, not her. And then the next person is someone that I've been knowing all her life.
All her life.
Even before she actually had life. And that's my daughter, Laila, and she's going to talk about Stop the Bleed. And then in the back, we have our brother, Brother Lateef, and he's a Diabetic Specialist. And well-read brother in helping you out with your diabetes. So. And if you don't have it, you have that information to pass back to your friends. So I'm going to turn this over to our email, and he's going to welcome everyone and also open us up in prayer. Okay?
All right. Good afternoon. Thank everybody for coming out. I really appreciate it. We start everybody off in prayer. The name of God, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, the perfect praise belongs to God, Lord of all systems of knowledge. He is the universally merciful and the specifically merciful, master of the day of judgment. You alone do we worship. You alone do we seek for aid. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those whom you have favored, not those who have earned your wrath or those who have gone astray. Amen. Health is obviously vitally and very important, especially with the community that we serve. So we want to take this time out to do this health awareness, and we have the experts talking, not just us rambling on about what we think. So it's time for the experts to start talking.
And our first speaker is going to be Sister Marelena, and she's the nutritionist. And she also, those are little pamphlets on the table. Those are her pamphlets, okay? So Sister Marelena. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's truly a blessing to be here and speak with you, especially about health. We all need it. We all need knowledge because we all know that no knowledge is bad. Because for some odd reason, this society wants to keep us without the understanding of what our bodies are, what our bodies' health needs are, and even what our spirit needs are. And so, thank you all for being a part of wanting to know all of that. Continue, even after all of this is done, to search for more information about what Allah has created. So, I want to begin with life and death. How we feel about death, right? So does anybody know where life and death begins? Anybody know? Ah, guess where? In the colon. That's where it begins.
What's she saying?
In the colon. Where is that umbilical cord? Where was it attached to mom? In the umbilical cord. Where did you get your nutrients? From that umbilical cord. So that's life. if no umbilical cord, for some odd reason, is detached, dead, right? Okay, so since we know that, I'm going to give y'all something really interesting. Did you know that, the medication that your doctors give you? Okay. Did you know you really don't have to adjust it? Did you know that you can take and put your medication right at your umbilical cord and your body will assimilate it? Why? Because you are a vibration first. Before flesh and blood, you are a vibration. Your medication has a vibration. Everything, the table, everything has its own vibration. So, if you take that little pill, instead of ingesting it, and it have all these different side effects, stick that pill right in your navel and just take it there. And watch and see what happens. I just had a client the other day. She didn't believe me. She was in so much pain. I said, that medication your doctor gave you? Put it right there. She taped it there. She said, oh my God, it really worked. I was out of pain. I said, they don't tell you that. Because they want you to continue to buy that medication over and over and over again, right? And they want to keep you on it all your life. And that is criminal. Even with herbs and vitamins, you're not supposed to take that stuff every day, all your life. Some days, you don't take a vitamin because you give your body a break. Some days you don't eat, you fast, right? You have to give the body a break. And so it has to rest. So life and death starts right here. Now, the people that life and death start here, don't go to the bathroom. Don't go to the bathroom. Let it all build up and see what happens to your body. You won't be here for a while? No. So, we think the heart's in charge. But what's in charge? Right here. Because you've got to get the toxins out. And that is very, very much a part of nutrition, getting the toxins out. So, on the back of those pieces of paper there is something very important. It's called cellular salts. That little list, okay? Now, I did the hard work for you because not only did I put the cellular salts there, but it also tells you what vegetables that are in alignment with that cell salt. Now, say for instance, if you didn't have cell salts in your body, you'd be a little pool of mush on the floor because cell salts are the building blocks of the body. They don't tell you that. Doctors don't have any skills in nutrition. I just want to let you know, maybe about 4 hours or something like that. So they are drug pushers. So they're not going to tell you, sister, you need some cell salts. Brother, come over here and get this cell salt to fix your neck. Do you know that your cell salts can do that? It actually can turn on the systems of your body that you turned off through improper eating, improper sitting, improper living. But what about improper thinking? Starts here first. Did you know just an improper thought can affect somebody's nutrition? It can lower their immune system. Also, improper eating can lower your immune system. But what did you do first? You thought something first, right? Okay, so I want a volunteer. Because I want to show you something. Can anybody want to volunteer for me? Anybody? Come on.
Make you volunteer. We got 2 volunteers.
I need 2 people. All right. To prove this theory, does anybody know what muscle testing is? Muscle testing. Okay, so you are connected with the universe. You're also connected with the earth. You're connected with everything and everybody around you. So that means that Allah is in each and every one of us, right? So that means that Allah is connecting and talking to each one of us, right? So you know that Allah can also tell you about your health, right? Okay, so we're going to show you how Allah kind of talks to us through different ways. Because he does talk to us from different ways. Do you not agree? All right. So, sister, what is your name? Lynette. And what is your name? Laila. Okay. So, muscle testing, you have muscles in your arms, right? So, I'm going to show you what muscle testing is. Now, first, Laila, I'm going to test your immune system. Okay? And if your immune system is strong, then your arm will remain strong no matter how hard I push on it. You've seen this before? Okay, good. So therefore, let's test that first. Just one arm, we're going to put this arm here, pull your thymus, because your thymus is what controls a lot of your immune system. And you're going to stick this arm out, right? All right, so now I'm going to push on your arm, and you resist, right? Okay, ready? And that's a good immune system. Now, let's say this. Can Laila have this and it will help her immune system? Let's just immune systems can handle that. Can Laila ingest this? Okay, so is this good for Laila to ingest? Did you feel a difference? Okay. So when Laila put this up to her thymus, and I asked that, her body said, no, I don't want that. So her arm went down. So now I'm going to step over here and test Lynette's immune system. And you're going to put your hand, can you right hand or left hand? Okay, great. So put your left hand there. Yep. And then I'm going to test your immune system. Just stick your arm out. Right? And you're going to resist as hard as you can. Ready? Okay. Whoa! No immune system. So now we're going to just raise her immune system and watch. Remember, thought. Thought is powerful. Love. All right, stick your arm back out, and let's see how strong your immune system is now. Look at that. You see that? Do you feel the difference? Okay, so now I'm going to show you about thought. You saw I did the thought. Now I'm going to show you Laila doing the thought, okay? All right, I'm going to say something in your ear, and you're going to think it, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to test the next immune system, all right? You got the thought? Yes. All right. Now, I'm going to come over here and test your immune system. Put your hand back up here again. And you're going to stick your arm up. And watch. Nothing. Now I'm going to go and tell her to do something else. Ready? Ready? And I'm going to tell you, everybody, what I did, okay? Ready? All right? Draw back up here. There it is. You feel the difference? All right. So all I did was, and she never said a word. I just said, think of something really bad about when I just think really bad. Her immune system went down. said that there was something really good, and our immune system was strong again, right? This is something, thank you. This is something that we do to each and every person every day. We think of something and say something under our breath, in our mind, in our spirit about different people, even the people we love, our children, and we send them out with these lower immune systems, and guess what jumps on? Oh, so we got COVID and all kind of other things. Please watch your thoughts. They're powerful. You're powerful. You are God's child. Please understand how powerful God's children are. Okay? Now, these building blocks, I want you to take in consideration of looking at those cell salts and understand that those cell salts are in each and every one of those foods. I also want you to look at the fact that there is a zodiac figure or a birth date right beside it. So if you fall, your birth date falls in any of that category, that is your cell salt that you were born with. And when the earth was spinning around, that earth was bombarding you with those particular cell salts. So you're strong in that. As soon as it moves around the planet, then you don't have that cell salt as strong. So you want to take both. You want to take your birth cell salt, and you want to take the opposite cell salt of the fact that you are now further away from that particular cell salt. Because it's like a clock. Everything is a circle. It comes back around and completes. Back around and completes, right? Okay, so study cell salts. I'm giving you little points to study because there is no way that I could teach you so much in such a little time. Okay, so what is care? What is care? Care is circulation, elimination, rest, and elimination. Assimilation. We're using assimilation. Thank you. So the body has to circulate. Blood has to circulate. So what is your blood circulating? Is it circulating toxins from what you eat? Is it circulating toxins from the air? Is it circulating toxins from the water that you're drinking? So if it's circulating all of these different things, then how do you have healthy cells, healthy organs, if you don't detox? And because we live in a toxic area, we have coal over here, we got plane fuel over there, we got stuff in the water there, plus we still have fallout that's coming from other places through the wind. So we still have lots of toxins. So that means that we need to detoxify more than you think. I detoxify a lot because I know that. I want you to do the same thing. Detoxify more. So how do you detoxify? You detoxify by cleaning the blood. How do you clean the blood? Well, there's lots of plants, there's lots of vegetables, there's lots of different things that are at your hand's reach to clean your blood. But it's about education. Educate yourself about cleaning your blood. Now, if all these toxins are building up in your joints, you have arthritis. If all these toxins are building up in your lymphatic system, then you have cancer. If you have toxins building up through your liver, you have liver problems. And what cleans everything? The liver. The liver cleans your blood. The liver also delivers the proper insulin to your pancreas because the liver actually makes more insulin than your pancreas. but the doctor wants to infuse your pancreas with this chemical when it means you really need to clean your liver. So clean your liver first. That's like taking the engine out of the car when all you really need is an oil change. Speaking about that, assimilation. Okay, so you are what you eat? Really? I think it's you are what you assimilate. Because you can eat a whole lot of different things, but it's when you actually assimilate that thing into your body, it becomes a part of you. Now, if you're assimilating junk food, like McDonald's and Wendy's and all these other different places, well then you assimilate toxins. If you are assimilating a lot of meats that are not halal, I know where I'm at. Then, of course, you may be assimilating all kinds of different chemicals, antibiotics, and all kinds of other things, GMO, all these different things that they like to put in American foods. You're not going to get that if you go to many places in Europe. They say no. We say yeah. We say even yeah about putting fluoride in the water. Why did they put fluoride in the water? When fluoride was put in the water, infant mortality was sky high. A lot of children died. But yet, we'll take our children to the dentist and let them give us fluoride treatments. No. We'll go and sit in the chair and get a fluoride treatment. Does fluoride make your teeth hard and strong? It does not. It is for making you docile. And that's what it's for. Fluoride was a, what's it called? It was for killing rats. That's what they used it for. It's a byproduct of aluminum. So they wanted to use that. So how can we make some money out of this? So we're going to convince the Dental Association that this is going to help. And so now everybody has this fluoride toothpaste and in the water, and guess what? We have weak bones for it. So find your non-fluoride toothpaste. I'm giving it to you. So if you're not writing it down or making a mental note, I don't know. Okay. So still assimilation. I'm trying to hurry up because time goes fast. Okay. I'm happy to go by assimilation. Now we did that. Let's go to rest. Does your body need rest? Mm-hmm. Who stayed up at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Well,
Night owl. How much rest do we need? So if we're not getting the rest that we need, that means that we don't shut down for spirit to speak to us. Oh, that's a problem. Because all through the day, we are bombarded by so many different things, whether it be the phone, the TV, this person, that person. We're being bombarded all the time, right? So when you rest, when do you take that break? You have to decide that your life matters. That's nutrition. Deciding what goes in here and what goes in here. What we see, what we hear, what we breathe, what we take in our mouth. We have to decide. Make a decision and stand by it. Now, our bodies are under 98.5 degrees, right? Around that. Some lower, some higher. Okay, now let's take a walk in the summer, in our kitchen, and in our trash can that we didn't empty for days at 98.5 degrees. Okay? What's in there? in there. So you got maggots, that's a parasite. And then of course, you know, rotten food. So that's stinky and that's causing toxins and all that is in the trash can. What about this trash can? What about that one? When did you empty that? When did you clean this? Some of us are carrying around 30 pounds of fecal matter in our digestive system. Not only just 30 pounds of fecal matter, but parasites. Living, crawling parasites. Parasites and inflammation are the key prime for health diseases. Inflammation and parasites. So when's the last time you did a parasite cleanse? When's the last time you said, no more sugar, I'm done. No more white flour, stop making paste in my colon. As your colon was like this and it got smaller because it got caked in and it got smaller because you put other kind of junk in it, it got small. Now you got to back up. Everybody knows what the back up is. Ow. It's called what? Anybody know what it's called? Come on, somebody. It's called constipation. Lord, jeez. Oh my God, right? Constipation. Okay, so the next thing I said, because I'm okay. Food combinations. We have sent our children to school drunk. How do we do that? Yep. Sugar cereals, and then we gave them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. None of that goes together. We put a meat on a sandwich, bread and protein don't go together. So this is the American diet. But this is our unhealthy life. When you want to change it. So, what I did was, and I left it, I'm going to leave it here for you, is a food combination guide. Now, anything that's got a black line that goes from this to that, you're not supposed to combine it. Anything that has a gray line to it, you can combine it. Melons are supposed to be eaten by itself. Well, of course, that's not the American diet, is it? Okay. So then, like I said, vegetables and proteins can be eaten together. Yeah. But protein and carbohydrates is a no. Okay, so carbohydrates and protein. Guess what you got? Diabetes. Okay. So then we put oils together, proteins and specific oils. They're not supposed to go together. So I'm going to just leave this particular combination guide so that you can, you know, take a picture of it with your phone, or the sister will copy it so that everybody can have that. Because if you start following that, you can stop poisoning yourself. You can stop making so many toxins in your body. The next thing, allergies. Allergies. I talked about parasites, allergies and inflammation. Many foods, I want to say this to you. Blood type matters. A person with an A blood type doesn't make a lot of acids for digesting the food. So you need a little extra help. Now, in 1940, the government said that there was not a lot of nutrition in the soil. They over-farmed it, and so therefore that's why you saw all of these new supplements go on the market all over the place. What does that tell you? Grow your own food. Don't be lazy. It don't have a pot on your patio. If you ever seen my apartment, it looked like a forest. I had trees in there. I had pots on the patio, and I had food growing. There's no place I go. I can't grow food, I'm not going. Okay? So, the other thing that I want to talk to you about is, besides the fact that using improper foods create inflammation in the body, drink more foods, make more smoothies. You don't have to digest all kinds of different foods like that. Find which foods that work for your body, juice them, and drink them. It's easy, it's fast, and you can keep on going, right? You don't always have to sit down on a 3-course meal. Make your meals smaller and more often, so the body doesn't have to wonder when the next time you're going to feed it, because you've been operating on starvation mode. The more food in smaller combinations will help your blood sugar, really help your blood sugar a lot, and you'll start to lose weight. Water. If you're drinking bottled water all the time, you are drinking acidic water. Your body is supposed to maintain a 6.9 to a 7.3. It goes like a bell curve, back and forth. Just like the ocean has an ebb and a flow, so does the ocean of the waters in our body have an ebb and flow. But if you do not keep the acidity down, and your body continues to go into the 5.9 and lower, you set yourself up for cancer. Did you hear that? If you stay acidic for a very, very long time, you have set your body up for cancer and any other thing that decides to come and live in your vehicle because you decided you were going to take care of it. I know I'm giving you hard facts. Don't be looking at me like that. So, drink more alkaline water. And I did talk to the sister about coming out and giving you an alkaline demo, or alkaline water demo. So if you'll all should, chime in and say, yeah, we want that, I'll come out with my other partner and we'll give you the most awesome Kangen water demo so that you can see exactly what alkaline water can do. And you can also bring your bottled water and have it tested. You'll see. You are drinking acid.
We want that.
We want that. Okay.
Just briefly, we did it at another church, and the church bought the system.
Yep.
Just, if you have it available to you, members, if the church has it, then everybody can come and get that water out of it.
Yes.
So they did that.
Used to be a brother that had it over by Costco.
I don't know if that was alkaline water or not.
Yeah, but get the demo. It's an
Oh,
education.
absolutely. Oh,
It is
absolutely.
a fabulous education. Man, I mean, everybody who leaves there's like, wow, I never knew anything about water like that. So also, like I said, grow your food, at least some of it, and then shop organic the most you can. I did put some wonderful, great books to continue the research about your bodies. Learn more about you. It's so important to learn more about you. And a couple last things before I go. I also have some more information about neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are made in your brain, and they work for your gut. If you have a dirty gut, then you don't have neurotransmitters in the brain, and that means you're walking around with a foggy brain, and you don't know what the last thing you did 2 minutes ago.
Take you stop talking about me.
So I'm leaving this also for you. It's a 2-pager.
Oh, you start.
Water.
Watch your scar.
Oh, thank you. And here's the paper about the water, and I put my information down at the bottom. And the last thing I'm going to say is, tell me your name, sister. Elba. Elba.
Yes, ma'am.
So Elba's decided to come in and get a scan. The scan will give you more information than any doctor has ever given you. It's called the AO scan. I'm leaving this information with you as well.
It's a 2-pager too?
It's a 2-pager. However, this AO scan is, the equipment is out of Germany. And you know, for some odd reason, we already know what the reason is, that they're more advanced in their medical knowledge and different innovative tools for diagnosing and keeping health. So, when you decide that you would like the AO scan, and she's going to be your forerunner, and she's going to come back and go, what? All the information I got, it was like 3 hours long, and yes. So it's amazing. Please understand that I really appreciate coming out and talking with you. I will be happy to come and do it again, because there's so much more to learn. I got lots in here. Thank you so very much. I do have another class I have to teach, and so I'm going to travel very quickly. Forgive me if I don't have time for questions and answers, but my phone number is there. Please feel free to call and ask me any questions, text me, any of that, and I'll be most happy to answer as much, whatever you need. I will be happy to answer the questions.
Thank you. And we just want to present this little token of appreciation. And we truly, truly appreciate you sharing with us and getting us thinking about some things that we probably never considered. Even though I don't know how you got in my head and but anyway. I truly, truly appreciate you, and I'm sure everybody else appreciates it.
Thank you so
And we'll be in touch
for the water
Yeah.
demo. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
As soon as possible.
Okay, thank you so much.
Peace and blessings all. Thank you.
Okay, we are moving right along, guys. Brothers and sisters, I'm sorry, wrong group. Our next presenter is Brother Abdul Lateef. He's actually going to do a PowerPoint, so we're going to have to redirect our vision. And he is actually a diabetic specialist.
It's on the other, on the table right beside.
Assalamu alaikum. This was worse than a minute ago. Yes, sir.
This is great. I am so happy to be here.
And just to tell you a little bit about myself, I am a certified diabetes educator by profession. I'm also a certified health educator.
one of the few African American certified diabetes health educators that I've seen when I go different places. And my job is to provide knowledge, tools, and resources to people. Doctors refer people to me for a number of reasons. Blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, and obesity. Those are the four main areas that I've been working in for 20 years. And I just want to say, be careful who you listen to, and be careful about information that's coming to you, because people are saying things that are very, very strange, very strange. No disrespect to the speaker that just left. But a lot of what she was saying was not scientifically appropriate. So what I'm saying to you is when someone is giving you information, the first thing you should do is to ask that person or go find out what is the scientific evidence for what you're saying. It's like you do in Islam. If someone is telling you something in Islam, where is your proof? Where is your dalil? What you're telling me, give me the proof of what you're saying. You know, people can tell you things, they can tell you their opinion, and that's fine. We all have a right to our opinion. But opinion should be backed up with facts. When you're talking about medicine, you're talking about the human body, you're talking about medications, you're talking about doctors, you're talking about people who are giving you prescriptions. And I'm not saying medication is perfect, I'm not saying that. I have one of my patients here as a witness for the work that I do. She came over here from Suffolk. And she's been with me for maybe 4 or 5 years. And when she first came to me, she had diabetes. A lot of people have diabetes. There's an explosion of diabetes. And the next wave of sick people that's coming are the young folk now. I'm seeing young people with old people's diseases. I've never saw that before in my whole career. I started working at the place where I work, Southeastern Healthcare System, in 1998. I graduated from ODU with a graduate degree in health science and an undergraduate degree in biology. And I've been working there since 1998. And I've never seen the type of medical problems that I'm seeing with the young people. I've never seen that in my whole career. We're seeing young people with cholesterol problems, hypertension, obesity is a huge problem in this country. And I think part of the problem is COVID. People were shut up, and they were eating a lot, and all kinds of stuff was going on in households. And consequently, our children are having a lot of problems. Obesity is a big problem in this country, we all know. And how do you deal with obesity? That's a complicated question because everybody's different. Everybody's weight situation is different. But my patient came to me in I'm not sure, I don't remember the year, but she was diagnosed with diabetes. A lot of people are diagnosed with diabetes. And diabetes is a disease that you just don't wake up with diabetes. You don't wake up one day and say, I have diabetes. It doesn't work like that. I like to say it's a creeping disease. Diabetes is like a weed growing up on the side of a building. It's creeping, creeping, creeping. And so your blood sugar could be creeping up for years. You may not even know it. You may not even know it. So if you're not going to your doctor to get your checkups and you don't know how to read a lab report, most people don't know how to read a lab report. This is so important, and I teach my patients how to read a lab report, comprehensive metabolic panel, the lipid panel, the A1C, all these are the numbers that we use to judge your health. We're judging your health when you come to us. And we're looking at your numbers, and we're giving you sometimes medications based on your numbers. And so if you understood your history, your numbers, as your blood sugar could be creeping up, And there's a condition called prediabetes. I'm sure maybe you've heard of it. It doesn't mean you have diabetes. Prediabetes is not a disease, but it's a risk factor for diabetes. So people come in with a prediabetes diagnosis. What does that mean? Well, your blood sugar is just slightly above the number, below 5.6. I don't know if you know about A1C. But A1C is a number that determines what your average blood sugar is over a 3-month period. And the reason that it does that is we have red blood cells that live about 3 months. And as these red blood cells circulate through your body, they soak up sugar. We can measure how much sugar they soaked up over a 3-month period, and we attach a number to that. That's what that A1C is, hemoglobin A1C. So we look at that number could be creeping up, even in the normal range. But you may not know it if you don't know how to read a lab report. But once it crosses 5.7, it reaches 5.7, it's called prediabetes. Prediabetes is 5.7 to 6.4. But the doctor may not say anything. That's possible. I mean, doctors are busy. I work in a very, very, very busy practice. And because of that, sometimes people are rushed through the system, and the doctor may not have time to go over your lab report with you. You don't know how to look at your lab report and say, wow, why is this number creeping up? Why is this number creeping up? You may not even know until it crosses the threshold into diabetes. It crosses the threshold into diabetes. But maybe even before then, something could have been done. So I agree with that. Something could have been done maybe before this. My patient here came to me, her A1C, I think it may have been 6.8, which is slightly above the scale. So she lost about 40 pounds. And she's right here. She can tell you. She lost about 40 pounds. Her A1C starts to go back down. It starts to go back down to the point that she doesn't even have diabetes. Not to say we cured diabetes, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is a lot of these diseases can be fixed with lifestyle. That's what I'm saying. I'm not bashing doctors with medication. We need medication, but maybe not all the time. But there's a lot that you can do on your own. There's a lot you can do. But diabetes is an illness that requires knowledge to manage it. And if you don't have the proper knowledge, if you're not getting the knowledge, then maybe you don't know how to manage your diabetes. I see this every day. So people come to me, and I say to them, the first question I ask, what is diabetes? I'm asking you, what is diabetes? Somebody tell me, what is diabetes?
You're not producing enough insulin in your body.
That could be true. That's a good answer. Not producing enough insulin. Anybody else?
Not producing insulin at all.
That's type 1, correct.
Yeah.
She said not producing.
Not producing insulin at all.
That's right. That's type 1 diabetes. Not producing insulin at all. If you don't get any insulin, you will drop dead. You have to have insulin. The insulin is made by the pancreas, not by the liver. Insulin is made by the pancreas. Beta cells in the pancreas makes insulin. Nothing. Okay, what did you say? You had your hand up.
Yeah, is it not processing carbohydrates?
Well, not necessarily, but it could kind of. Well, this is my definition of diabetes. When someone is diagnosed with diabetes, they have too much sugar in their blood. Too much sugar in their blood. Classic diabetes. Too much sugar in your blood is toxic. It's toxic. Too much sugar in your blood is toxic. And I don't mean sugar like sugar, table sugar. I don't mean sugar like that. But to your point, when you eat carbohydrates, the body breaks these carbohydrates down and turns them into sugar. That's what we call glucose. Insulin brings this sugar back down. You eat the food, body turns it into blood sugar goes up, insulin brings it back down. That's what insulin does. It keeps your sugar balanced. That's why we need insulin. You have to have insulin. How does it do that? Well, insulin is like a key. It opens up your cells so the sugar can go in. That's what brings it down. But sometimes, as you said, the body's not producing enough insulin. Imagine that you're eating your carbohydrates, you're eating your rice, or you're eating your corn, and you're eating your bread, and you're drinking your milk. Milk is a carb because it has sugar, lactose. You're eating all these different foods, and your body's turning these foods into blood sugar, and blood sugar is going up, and so your body has to produce insulin, your pancreas has to produce insulin to bring the sugar down. And you continue to give your body this blood sugar is going up, and your pancreas can't get tired. Beta cell exhaustion. That's what that's called. The pancreas can't keep up. You're dumping so much in your system, the pancreas cannot keep up. So eventually it becomes exhausted. It cannot keep up. So blood sugar starts to build up. That's one problem. The other side of it is sometimes the cell itself, the receptor on the surface of the cell won't allow the insulin to bind with it so the blood sugar can go in. What causes that? One big problem that we see a lot. Belly fat. Belly fat is a huge problem. Belly fat actually can cause a problem with diabetes. Belly fat can do that. Belly fat is a huge problem, and we know we as we get older, most of us will get some belly fat. Different things can cause belly fat, but if you have an issue with belly fat, then there's some things you can do. So people come to me also for weight loss, as my patient is Williams. She lost 40 pounds, and I looked at her A1C, maybe the last one she did, maybe 3 months ago, it was 5.2. 5.2. No medication, so people can manage their diabetes. Some people, not everyone. Some people can manage their diabetes with lifestyle, meaning exercise. When I say exercise, I'm talking about cardio, sweat. You got to break some sweat to be a fat. That's what I say. Cardio, 150 minutes a week. The minimum is 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Not only that, but women need to lift weights. Women need to lift weights, build muscle. Muscle helps to burn fat. Build muscle, lift weights, and nutrition is the other important part of it. So I want to pass out some information here while I'm trying to get this PowerPoint going. So somebody can pass this out for me, please. And this what I'm about to give you now is probably the most important thing I can tell you. To learn how to read a food label. Okay, while you're looking over that, I'm going to see if I can get this going. So Ms. Williams, maybe you could just briefly tell them what did you do to get your A1C down to 5.2? What did you do to get your A1C down to 5.2?
Well, I changed my eating habits and started to be more active for exercising. Mainly it was changing my eating habits because food that was triggering my like sugar, cookies, and things like that, I changed by not buying that and having that as part of my grocery list in the house because I knew that things that I really, really love, I couldn't just go to the bag or something like that and ate one. But in the beginning, I just decided to sacrifice not to buy those type of things at all. That I had a weakness to. So mainly it was changing my eating habits and trying to eat more vegetables and not a lot of carbs or sugar, things like that. So that really, really helped me. That's what did it for me.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. And she's just one of many patients that I have that I've been seeing for a number of years. So if you have diabetes, if you have high blood pressure, if you have a cholesterol problem, if you have a weight problem, ask your doctor to refer you to a nutritionist. That is a person that you need on your team. Everyone needs a nutritionist. You need a workout person. You need to know how to work out, whether it's going to a gym or working out at home or whatever way that you work out. But everyone needs to build muscle and burn fat. We all need to do that. We need resistance exercises. We need cardio. And if you have insurance, you have access to a nutritionist. If you have diabetes, you have access to a diabetes educator. Diabetes is a disease that requires knowledge, as I said. I call diabetes a frenemy. A frenemy. Have you heard that term? frenemy. It's a friend, and it can be an enemy. It can be your worst nightmare, but it can be your best friend. How could diabetes be your best friend? How could that happen?
Alert you to something going on.
It alerts you to something going on? Actually, people come to me with diabetes, and once we figure out what they need to do, we come up with a plan for them. Every person is an individual, so every person's care has to be specialized for that person. That's why diets don't work, because a diet is just some general information, but your weight may be specific to you, your genetics, your lifestyle. So everyone needs a trainer. Everyone needs an educator. These are people that you need on your team. So make sure you ask your doctor to refer you to a nutritionist. That's extremely important. Because if you don't understand diabetes, then how can you defeat an enemy you don't understand? So learning about diabetes is extremely important. But what diabetes can do, if you come to me with diabetes, managing diabetes, learning what you need to do to manage diabetes will make you a healthier person. Because you're understanding nutrition. So when you look at that food label that I gave you, let's just quickly go down some facts on this. So this is a new label. Does everybody have a copy? This is a new label. All labels don't look like this. Some labels are changing. This is the new look. As it says here, the new look. But the old label, the letters are small, the weight is small, and I think this is my own personal opinion. I don't think that the nutrition facts label was meant to be easy to understand. I don't think. And the reason I say that because it's grams and milligrams. We don't do the metric system in this country. So if I'm telling you, you can do 25 grams of sugar in a day, which you can. Our bodies can handle some sugar. I mean real sugar, real white sugar. Our body can handle some sugar. Women can handle, this is coming from the American Diabetes Association in England. Women, you can consume about 25 milligrams, which is saying 6 teaspoons. 6 teaspoons in a day. One Pepsi 12-ounce soda has 39 grams of sugar. So if you drink one soda, you've exceeded your sugar consumption for the day. If you're drinking soda, soda is at the bottom of the trash pile, in my opinion. And next to that is pizza. One 18-inch pizza has almost 5,000 calories, and these are fat, grease calories. Soda and pizza. So, when you look at this food label, you see, and that doesn't mean you can never drink soda and you can never eat pizza. It doesn't mean that. But soda and pizza, these are celebration foods. Isn't that every day? Celebration, moderation.
Just don't drink the whole bottle of Pepsi a little bit.
Right. Well, I mean, if you're asking me, soda is something that you would drink 4 ounces if you were somewhere and they have some soda and you just happen to be there and you want something to drink. You drink your 4 ounces of soda. Other than ginger ale. Ginger ale still is highly infused with sugar. Ginger ale is when you're sick on the stomach, not chilling drinking ginger ale. That's not for that either. That's not for that either. Yes.
Quick question. You said six tablespoons?
Yes, 6 teaspoons. 6 teaspoons.
So does that mean for the whole day of all carbs?
The whole
or
day.
Just sugar?
Just sugar.
I mean, or anything that would turn into sugar?
Well, anything that has sugar in it.
Okay.
Like sugary drinks. So when you look at this label, let's look at this label, just to your point. Look all the way down when you see total carbohydrate. And we could do a class on carbohydrate. One of the most misunderstood food concepts on the planet. And people, they have these weird ideas about carbohydrates. You can't do carbohydrates. What, you can't eat fruit? You can't eat fruit? Some people can't?
Cannot.
Oh, cannot eat fruit.
Yeah, I met a dietitian that she's managing a senior complex. And some of her patients.
You mean they have a food allergy?
Well, she said they couldn't eat certain fruits and vegetables.
Well, if you're diabetic, if you have diabetes, fruit has sugar. If you're eating a banana, An old banana with brown spots has more sugar than a green banana with yellow and green on it. Could you eat that whole banana? An old banana may run your sugar up, but you could eat half of a banana. It's understanding your sugar and what brings your sugar level up. So that's a different conversation you would have to have on how to properly take your blood sugar. When to properly take. Most people don't even know. I ask them, well, they come to me and I said, do you have a glucometer? Well, what's that? They've had diabetes for years. This is what I can tell you. They've had diabetes for years. No one ever taught them. But as the young lady said, who was talking before me, the doctor's office is not a place of education. It's a place for medication. She's right on that. Medication and education should go hand in hand. You shouldn't have one without the other. But we give you prescriptions. She's right. We give you prescriptions all day long, and some people need these. These are a lifeline. But, so when you see this food label, the first thing you see is 8 servings in this container. 8 servings in this container. And then you look at its serving size. Serving size 2/3 of a cup. And then you look at the calories. How many calories? 230 calories. But what does that mean? In 2/3 of a cup, you have 230 calories. But suppose this is your favorite food. And you're sitting down, you're watching your favorite show. And you eat the whole pack. How many calories is that? How would you figure that out? 8 times 230. And to prove my point, the next time you go in 7-Eleven, you look at a small bag of nuts. And those small bags of nuts really is 2 servings. One small bag of nuts could have as many as 300 calories. Small bag of nuts, because nuts are loaded with fat, fat is loaded with calories. Most of those nuts are 2 servings. Look at it next time you see. So let's go down. So we talked about cholesterol earlier. Heart disease, #1 killer. This is a heart month. Heart disease, #1 killer in this country, kills more people than all cancers combined. Heart disease for many people is a choice. We're choosing the wrong foods. So what are some of the foods that can contribute to heart disease? Well, look at saturated fat. And why is it that there are 3 types of essential fats: polyunsaturated, monounsaturated, saturated. We need all 3. But of those 3, we need saturated the least. Saturated is fat that turns solid at room temperature. Like you fry some chicken, and you put the grease up, and the next time you see it, it looks like it's got a skim on the top. That's saturated fat. Or Crisco. We had that back in the day. Y'all knew about Crisco. Yeah, it's still out there. It's still out there. Or the fat that's in butter.
So does that fat come from animal protein?
Crisco?
Not Crisco, because it's supposed to be vegetable, but the fat that rises to the top of saturated.
What happens is, when you take oil, you take the best olive oil on the planet, and once you put heat to it that destroys it and breaks it down, it turns to saturated fat. That's why fried food is not healthy for you. Because once you heat the grease up, you destroy it. You've changed the chemical composition of it, and then it becomes unhealthy for you. So, of the 3 fats, why is it that they only put saturated fat on here? You don't see the other 3. You see trans fat. We'll talk about that later. They put saturated fat up there because that's the worst of the 3. We need it, but not a lot. You should not consume any more than 11 grams in a day. So how would you know? Look at this. This has 1 gram. 1 gram. So that's safe. That's safe. 1 gram is safe. And it doesn't take a lot of fat to add up in the calories. And so let's go down further. Let's talk about bad, harmful fats. So I'm going to tell you some harmful fats that you should not totally avoid, but keep in moderation. Coconut oil is a saturated fat. Palm oil, palm kernel oil. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So, not coconut oil.
Yeah.
You use it on your skin.
Good for the skin, good for the hair, not for the stomach.
Okay. All right. Because I know somebody had said one time that like their skin is the biggest organ that allows things to go inside of their body. So I was just thinking.
No, I wasn't like that. But you're right. The skin is the largest organ. But you can put coconut oil on the skin.
Thank you.
Of the oils that are harmful, partially hydrogenated oil is the worst. Partially hydrogenated oil. Google it. It's banned in New York. You can Google that. It's banned in New York. Partially hydrogenated oil. And if you look at coffee creamers, you like a coffee creamer? And if you see partially hydrogenated oil in there, leave it in the store. Margarine, stick margarine is the worst. Is the worst. Stick margarine is the worst. Leave it in the store. Cheese has saturated fat. You can eat cheese. I love cheese. but cheese is one of these moderation foods. It's a moderation food. It's not a hot food you should load up. You know, like you like your cheese and you like your eggs and you slicing your cheese in there. And cheese is saturated fat. Heart disease, #1 killer in this country, kills more people than all cancers combined. So let's go down and we look at sugar. This is probably the most important thing. One of the most important things on here. So you see total sugars. 12 grams. You can do 25 in a day for women, 36 grams for men, which is 9 teaspoons spread out over the whole day, not at one time. So out of this 12 grams, 10 grams are added sugar. They put some type of sugar in, whether it's honey. Honey is your sugar. Honey can run your blood sugar up. Honey can make you gain weight, even though we know honey is good. It's medicinal, it's crime. So honey is good. I'm not knocking honey. But it's a moderation. There are probably 25 different types of sugar that they put in the food. And if you don't know the code name for these sugars, you could be loaded up on sugar. Then people come to me and say, wow, I don't understand why I can't seem to lose weight. I don't eat that much. Well, maybe it's what you're eating. Maybe it's what you're eating. So when you look at this sugar, 10 grams are added. So they added in 10 grams of sugar. That's important. So do you think that's a lot? Does 10 grams seem like a lot? If you can do 25, is 10 grams a lot? Yeah. Almost half. So this is probably the most important thing that I could tell you. Look at everything you eat. Why would you not do that? You would never pull up to the gas pump and not look at what kind of gas you put in your car. You would never do that. You know what type of gas your car burns. So when you pull up to the table, know what you're putting in your system. When you're in the grocery store shopping, take time to read this label. It's a lot more to it than what I'm telling you, but I'm trying to give you some basic points that you can take this label, and this is what I use myself personally. When I'm in the store and I'm rushing and I don't have time to go, I've been doing this so long, I just kind of know the stores that I shop at, kind of where the good food is and where the bad food is, and how to choose the right thing for me. So, one rule of thumb, everything that's not good for you, keep it less than 10%. Like this saturated fat, keep it less than 10%. Sodium is another issue. Blood pressure problems, this is probably the last thing I'm going to say. Sodium is a big problem. And you know what people say? Well, I don't use salt at the table. I don't sprinkle salt. Okay. Do you use soy sauce? You ever look at the sodium and say soy sauce? Next time you look at some soy sauce, pick it up and look at it. It's in the thousands. And if you invite me back, I can really do a great workshop, and I can teach you everything you need to know to manage your disease. My proof is right here. I can teach you. She drove over here from Suffolk, and she is at every presentation that I do because she's my superstar. She is my superstar. I'm so proud of her. I wish you could take this thing and put her on the news. We need to hear this. There are people who are thriving. You don't have to get older and get sicker. You don't have to live like that. You don't have to live like that. But there's knowledge that you need to know in order to navigate any food situation that you may find yourself in. Cookout or restaurant or wherever. There's a way to eat. Sodium is a big issue. And why is that? What is it about sodium? What do you think it is? What is it about sodium?
It makes the food taste good.
It makes the food taste good. But what harm can it do if you consume too much?
High blood pressure, swelling, a whole bunch
and
of stuff.
Why is that? Well, what is it about sodium?
Go ahead, look at my job.
Okay. Maybe she'll tell you all about sodium. When I start talking about this type of stuff, I just get fired up and excited. And this is the greatest job in the world that I've been going to every day for 20 years. But the problem with sodium, just quickly, I'm going to leave that for her. Okay. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to know, what is the problem with pizza? The cheese?
Oh, he really is. He's talking about pizza.
I'm gonna have to have pizza once a week.
No, sir. You don't have to have pizza. You want pizza once a week. Hey, when last time you looked at your cholesterol? Your lipid panel.
I have a cholesterol problem.
Oh, you think twice. And look, there's another issue.
But is it the cheese is the problem?
It's the cheese, it's the grease, it's the bread, it's all that.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. Look,
The sauce.
I'm gonna show. I have a pizza on my phone. And to prove of what I'm saying to you, I went to Costco once. I was supposed to get some pizza for this event that I was going to. He said, well, you pick up the pizza. I said, okay, I'm looking at the pizza. I'm at 5,000 calories, 760 calories per slice. Do I want to try 700? Google it. I have it on my phone.
I try not to eat it.
Yeah, well, if you eat it, eat a sliver. Eat a sliver.
But what about if you use like make a cauliflower spread?
Now that I don't know. I would have to analyze it. But back to sodium real quickly. Sodium and salt have an intense love affair. Sodium and water, I mean. Sodium and water. Wherever sodium goes, water will follow. More sodium, more water, more fluid, more pressure. And so look, if you invite me back, I will do a workshop for you you'll have everything you need. Just let me come one day. I have some tools that I use. Williams Day. Now, you may have never seen this. But the problem people have with weight, this is the last thing I'm going to say, ma'am. I know Okay. Look, this is the last thing I'm going to say. I see a lot of people for weight. I mean, every day. My schedule is unbelievable. I don't know how I get through my day, but someone called me and said, where do you see these patients? I'm one at a time. That's how I see them. But anyway, they come to me for weight loss. And this is the problem with women. Not that women are a problem. I'm not saying that. So you get caught up on the pounds on the scale. That's an important number, but it's not the only number. It's not the only number. Because some women are just big. They're muscular. There are muscular women. Muscular women. And when women come like that, they're muscular. Build your muscle. Work your muscle. Let your muscle work for you. But what I do is I take this machine and tell me how much body fat you have. And if you want to try it, I'll give you a try.
Now we good.
Come on now. So I have to ask you a few personal questions. And this other tool here that I have, this one here, this one, and the scale. And the scale. We'll take all three. Metrics. So women want to see pounds go down, but that's not the only number. Sometimes pounds might stay the same, but inches can go down. That happens. People come to me and weight went up, but the pounds went up, but inches went down. How did that happen? Well, you're building muscle. Okay, so look, we're going to do a quick test drive. Okay. You want to do it? You sure you want to do this?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, I need to ask your height. 5'5". So I plug her height in there. This is her height. And what was your last weight, ma'am? If I could ask. 245. That's easy to remember. 245. And
then Brother Lateef, we're gonna have to wrap up, okay?
yeah, I know now. I'm way over my time. And your age? 64 years old. You can move this just like this. Put your thumbs up here. You don't have a pacemaker, do you? No. Okay. I hit that. Two numbers will pop up there in about 10 seconds. So, and I put that on a spreadsheet. Huh? Yes. I put that on a spreadsheet. Two numbers, okay. Oh, okay. Oh. I know. Yeah, something happened. You got an error message. But anyway, this will tell me her body fat. The other one tells me her BMI. And I can tell you a lot about BMI and all that stuff. It's all a bunch of science and sometimes it's confusing. But anyway, thank you so much. And maybe as I'm looking back, I can answer one question.
touch with you?
My number is on that flyer. My number is on one of those flyers. Call me.
Oh, on the flyer, their original flyer.
The red one.
We're going back this way? Let me go back this way?
I do.
Want me to go back this way? Okay.
I got a good question.
I'm starting out. I have my own nonprofit, and maybe next time I come, I'll have my website.
Do you have any business cards?
No, I do not. But my number is on that red sheet. The red-
Okay, guys, we're gonna go ahead and introduce our next speaker. And we kind of changed the order since Brother Abdul was talking about diabetes and sodium and that. We're gonna bring on the young lady from the American Heart Association that keeps that going. And then last Laila, which is more of a first aid, keeping somebody alive kind of situation that should go out like. So here's Brianna Ricks with the American Heart Association.
Hello.
How's everybody feeling today? How's the information? I had a pizza and stuff. I completely understand. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a pizza lover myself, but I allow myself to only have it once a month because I know how not good it is for you. So, hi everyone again. My name is Brianna Ricks, and I am currently serving as the Community Impact Director of the American Heart Association of Hampton Roads. I'm very excited to be here with you all today. We have been doing quite a lot of different things all throughout the area, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we do and what we're trying to raise awareness for. So a little bit about me, a little bit about my background. I'm very passionate about community health, so I have my master's in public health with a specialization in health promotion. And ever since I've been out of school, that's literally all I've been doing things like this, talking to people, raising awareness. Once upon a time, a few years ago, I used to do home visits with patients that were at a higher risk for readmission to the hospital due to so many chronic diseases. So I like to say I've done it all. So I'm very excited to be here with you guys today. I'm gonna try to be quick. I have a lot of information to go through in a little bit of time, so I'm gonna try not to keep you all too long today. So the first thing I want to do, I always like to start off my meetings with reciting our mission of the American Heart Association, and our mission is to be a relentless force for a world of modern healthcare lives. So what does that mean exactly? What does it mean to be relentless? Does anybody know what that means?
Never give up.
That's right. So that means we are never giving up on raising awareness on heart disease and the risk factors that are attributed to heart disease. Now, I know a lot of people probably think that the only thing we focus on is the heart. Is that what you guys think? No? Okay, good. A lot of people think that we only talk about the heart is all we're concerned about. That is the case, but that's also not the case. We know that there are plenty of things that contribute to heart disease. We know that there are a lot of social determinants of health, which is what we call them, that can be attributed to someone being more at risk of heart disease. So our 5 key priority areas at the American Heart Association is, of course, improving blood pressure, as we've been talking about, and I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go on. The second is increasing nutrition security. Does anybody know what that is?
Being able to get the right foods?
Yeah, girl. Yeah, absolutely. See, most people say being able to get food, and that's very important. It is important to be able to get food. We have so many people that don't have access to food at all. But what we're working to do is not only give people access to food, but the right food that's not going to exacerbate any chronic conditions they may have, like high blood pressure, diabetes, anything else that they may have going on. Our third key priority area is reducing risk for women. So it's American Heart Month, and the Hampton Roads branch of the American Heart Association, we have our Go Ready for Women luncheon in February, and that is our campaign that focuses focuses specifically on women. Why do we have a priority area that focuses specifically on women? Anybody tell me why?
Heart disease is a fourth killer of women.
It is actually the number one.
Number one, it moved up.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, but I do have some good news though. I did just see in some of our research that came out, it used to be 1 in 3 women, were victims of heart disease. It's actually now 1 in 4 instead of 1 in 3.
African American women or women?
Women in general.
Okay,
Yes.
so African American women is even higher, right?
Yes, that is the case. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the populations where there's health disparities once we, get a little more into the presentation. But yes, reducing risk for women, because a lot of people think that the number one killer of women is breast cancer. And I've actually heard that firsthand. I asked a couple of my friends and I said, hey, what do you guys think is women's number one killer? And they're like, oh, it's definitely breast cancer. And I'm like, it's definitely not breast cancer. So we have some work that needs to be done. Another key priority area of ours is eliminating tobacco and e-cigarette use. I hope I'm not stepping on any toes. All right. That's great. That's great. Yes, so there's been, of course, we know a lot of people that smoke and use cigarettes, but there's been a major increase, especially among youth when it comes to vaping.
Yes.
So now y'all probably see people in the store. Yes, it is. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. I actually work with one of our school systems in Virginia Beach, and we work with the superintendent there, and he let me know that the vaping issue is so bad there that they have to close the bathrooms in some of the schools. Because students will go in the bathroom and they'll vape in there instead of being in class. So it's very
You don't even want to know what she was thinking.
It's very bad. It's pretty tough, but that's something else that we're working on doing. And lastly, we're also working to improve our community response. So that's something that really came about with COVID. We want to know what's going on in the community and how we can still make an impact even with something like COVID happening. So we're working with our hospital systems as well when it comes to that. Any questions so far about anything that I've said? Okay, so now we're getting to the good stuff. So heart disease is the number one killer for all Americans. And there's a lot of misconceptions. People used to think back in the day that it was just a man's disease, more specifically a white man's disease. But African Americans, everyone is affected by heart disease. And if you don't have heart disease directly, I guarantee you know someone in your family that's suffering with heart disease. So we're all impacted, which is why we need to know the ins and outs of it. So, talking about high blood pressure. Y'all ready? Yeah. Does anyone know what the normal blood pressure reading should be? When you go to the doctor and they take your blood pressure, does anyone know what a normal reading should look like? So the top and bottom number.
120.
1 less. Yeah, y'all are right. 120 over 80. That's right. Now I know you may go to your doctor and sometimes it might be in the 130 or like 120-ish, but really it should be 120 over 80. Point blank period. And that's from the American Heart Association. So for the go ahead.
If it's slow,
If it's lower, that's good, but not too low. Because when people start getting like the lower numbers and like the 50s, 60s, that's really low. And your doctor will, have that conversation with you. They'll be able to show you when it's like super low. My sister actually has that issue. Her blood pressure goes up and down, so sometimes it's really low. Sometimes it's like 70 over like some crazy low number. So yes, that's important to make note of as well and make sure you're following up with your doctor. Thank you for mentioning that. Yes, ma'am.
The question I just have is, why is it that a person that's 17 or 18 years old has the same 120 over 80 and somebody that's in their 70s or that it's the same measurement?
So are you asking, so 17-year-old and a 70-year-old have the same hypertension reading?
120 over 80, that's the guy.
Yeah, so you're asking me, why is the 120 over 80 the guideline? That's a good question. I don't know the exact answer to that, but I'm happy to find it out. But since I've been with the AHA, which has been the last 3 years or so, That's always been the reading. I'm pretty sure, because everything that we, put out to the community is backed by research, so I can guarantee you there's some sort of research that says when your reading is 120 over 80, then your arteries, the pressure that's a good pressure to have. If it gets any higher than that, then it puts you at risk for stroke and heart attack. The higher that it gets, and I'll talk about that later as well. Good questions, guys. Keep me on my toes. So I just wanted to go through the readings with you all as well. So 120 to 129, and any number that's less than 80 is considered to be elevated blood pressure. Not saying that you have high blood pressure if that's your reading, which is probably why when you go to the doctor and that's the reading, they don't really make too much of a big deal of it because it's just slightly elevated. And that can be for a number of reasons. I've been to urgent care and had like an earache or something. When you're in pain, your pressure's going to be elevated a little bit because you're in pain, you're not feeling good. So that's not too much to worry about. It's more so when it's on a consistent basis when you should be concerned. High blood pressure, hypertension stage 1 is when the top number is 130 to 139, or or if the bottom number is 80 to 89. A lot of people think that both of the numbers have to be high, but really it's one or the other. High blood pressure stage 2, bless you. If the top number is 140 or higher, that's stage 2 hypertension. Or if the bottom number is 90 or higher, that's stage 2 hypertension. So that's really when you see people taking, those high blood pressure medications to keep their pressure down. And lastly, hypertensive crisis. Anything when the top number is over 180 or the bottom number is higher than 120, you need to be going to somebody's emergency room, because that's stroke levels. And I really want to drive that point home because people think that blood pressure is not something that they should be concerned about. It's the silent killer. That's what they call it. And they call it that for several reasons. One, a lot of people have high blood pressure, don't even realize that they have it, because typically it doesn't come with any serious symptoms. You may have a headache or something, but that could be attributed to not eating enough or not drinking enough water. You may not be thinking that your blood pressure is high. So that's why they call it a silent killer. So it's very important, if your blood pressure is really, really high, anything over 180, you need to get to the emergency room. And just a couple of statistics. So I want to pick your brain. Since we're in Norfolk right now, what do you think is the percentage of adults, so anyone 18 and older, what do you think is the percentage of adults that have high blood pressure in Norfolk? Yes.
About 85.
Oh, it might not. So let me say this. What do you think is the statistic that we actually can count? Because remember, high blood pressure is the silent killer, so a lot of people may not know that they have it. So they may not be included in the number that I'm going to tell you. Y'all are probably going to be very surprised when I tell you the number.
70%, probably 65%.
Okay, I hear some good numbers. Okay. So actually in Norfolk, the percentage of adults 18 or older that have reported having high blood pressure, according to statistics, is only 31.7% of adults 18 and older in Norfolk. Now I want to tell you this, it is a lot, that's still a lot, but think about it this way, that number is absolutely, has to be, I guarantee you, much higher, because one, that number is only those that are reporting that they've been told they have high blood pressure. There are so many people that have high blood pressure and don't know that they have it because one, they haven't been to the doctor. I know y'all know people that don't go to the doctor. Oh, she pointed at somebody.
No.
So yeah, one, people aren't going to the doctor, so they don't know that they have high blood pressure. Two, depending on your provider, they may not be taking what your readings are as serious because it may just be elevated and that person may not follow up adequately, or there's several reasons why these numbers are much higher than they are. 31.7.
31.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's higher for sure, definitely. So that's anyone that's 18 and older that actually reported having high blood pressure.
Right, and those are the ones that probably have insurance to go to
Yeah, can't get their medications, go to the doctor. Yeah, I will tell you this nugget though. Now this isn't in Norfolk, but In Portsmouth specifically, about 75% of people that live in Portsmouth take some form of high blood pressure medication.
Living in Portsmouth will make you take out.
Just saying. Yes, ma'am, we have a question.
You kind of answered it already. I was just going to ask what was the percentages for other surrounding areas?
Yeah, oh yeah, I have those as well. So let me read those off to you. So Chesapeake is 34% of adults that have reported having high blood pressure. Hampton is 38.9%. Newport News 36.8%. Norfolk 31.7%. My PowerPoint is cut off, so it's not letting me see the others. But Suffolk, and I know this because I live in Suffolk, it's almost at 40%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that by any chance broken down into demographic?
It is, but I don't have it with me right now.
You forgot Virginia Beach.
Sorry.
You forgot Virginia Beach.
It's cutting off Virginia Beach, but I know that Virginia Beach is on the lower end. Virginia Beach is probably the low. Yeah. Somebody told me the same thing about Williamsburg.
They do. Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
And
I would say
they report
this.
their information, so it sounds like it's perfect.
But what's interesting to me is, you know how it is here, like you can be in Virginia Beach in 1 minute, and then 5 minutes you're in Norfolk, so it's like those places are so close.
Right.
Why is there such a disparity, you know?
Same thing with Portsmouth and Chesapeake.
Yes, exactly. Yes, sir.
Don't most black people, I mean, isn't high blood pressure a problem among black people more than anyone else?
Yes, I get to that.
So the more black people you have, the more.
Y'all are here, y'all with me. Y'all got it. Yep, absolutely. And that's why the American Heart Association, we're working so hard to get into, you know, really all the cities in Hampton Roads. We're working with all the different cities to implement different blood pressure programs with clinics, providing blood pressure devices. I work with a lot of clinical partners just to make sure that they have enough blood pressure monitors so people can monitor their blood pressure at home. That's another big thing as well, being able to monitor your blood pressure outside of the clinic, because white coat syndrome is a thing. Y'all know what that is? Yeah, when you get to the doctor, you get all nervous, and your blood pressure is high, but it's not really high because you're nervous, and they give you this blood pressure medication that you don't really need, and that causes a whole nother issue. People need to be able to monitor their pressure at home, but you know, blood pressure monitors are not cheap. You know, a lot of people can't afford them. A lot of people don't even know how to use one. So that's why education is so important. Okay. Yes.
What is it when you have high blood pressure and you get a regular heartbeat? Is there concern with that?
I don't really know too much about a regular heartbeat, but I do know that it's, you know, that's something that you definitely need to be following up with, not just your primary care doctor, but also a cardiologist as well. You definitely should be under a cardiologist's care. Yeah. Any other questions before we move over to some new stuff? Did I see your hand? I'm sorry, I thought I saw your hand up. Okay. All right. So we are going to talk about a lot of different signs for heart attack as well as stroke. So we're going to start with heart attack. Does anyone know what the warning signs of a heart attack are?
Your left arm, maybe your pain in your left arm.
I heard chest pain, that's the big one.
Chest pain.
What else?
Shortness of breath.
That's a good one.
Sweating, through sweating.
What else?
Cold clammy skin.
Okay. What about nausea? Do y'all think that's a symptom?
Nausea?
Yes. Yeah. That's more so a symptom that's a lot of times more specific in women. And it's really important to know that because women and men often have different symptoms. A lot of times women don't get the chest pain. They might just be really sweaty. They might be really nauseous. A heart survivor that I work with, she almost didn't go to the emergency room because she thought she was just having a toothache. But really she was having really bad jaw pain and she was having a heart attack. So a lot of times you may not think that your symptoms are tied to a heart attack or something more serious, but what I always tell people is you know your body. So if you know that something is off, go to the emergency room, make sure you're following up with your doctor. If you're having like ongoing symptoms of like chest pain or anything, shortness of breath, anything like that, make sure you tell your doctor. Don't just attribute it to, oh, I'm getting older, so my body is slowing down. No, you should always have a conversation with your doctor, anything that's, out of the ordinary. So symptoms for heart attack, you guys are right on the money. So discomfort in the center of the chest, it feels like uncomfortable pressure, squeezing. A lot of people that I've spoken to, they equate it to an elephant sitting on your chest. I don't know how they know what an elephant feels like, but I guess that's a good representation of how bad the chest pain is. Pain or discomfort in one or both arms, so it could be either arm, left arm or right arm, or both of them. You could also have pain in your back, pain in your jaw, pain in your neck. Because you think about it, all that stuff is attributed to your heart, so you can have pain in any of those areas. Shortness of breath. This is also important to know what I'm about to say. That can be with or without chest discomfort. So anytime you're having any shortness of breath, you need to go somewhere and see someone, get medical attention as soon as possible. Breaking out in a cold sweat, nausea, feeling lightheaded. Those are also symptoms. And like I said, warning signs differ in women. So most times women experience these symptoms: shortness of breath, nausea and vomiting, pressure in the lower chest, upper abdomen. So that's not here, that's like right here. So that feels like more so indigestion. Jaw, neck, or upper back pain, dizziness, lightheadedness, extreme fatigue. Those are symptoms that are specific to women. And I also have a sheet here that'll talk a little bit more about that, and I'm gonna make sure you guys have that as well. All right, so this is my favorite part. Now, I know we all saw what happened with, you had a question? Oh, I'm sorry, I keep thinking I see hands. I know we all saw what happened with football player DeMar Hamlin, or we heard about it even if we didn't see when it happened. He went into cardiac arrest in the middle of a football game in January. Yeah, yes. So I have a question for you guys. Another question. Is a heart attack and cardiac arrest the same thing?
No.
I like y'all.
They did their homework.
Y'all knew I was coming and y'all knew I was going to ask questions. I asked that because, when I was on social media and everyone was talking about what was going on with DeMar, everyone was saying, oh, he had a heart attack. And I'm like, no, that is very different from cardiac arrest. He went into cardiac arrest.
Yes, the doctors kept saying cardiac arrest, but
yes,
everybody on social media was saying he had a heart attack.
Yes, like, oh my goodness, we got so much work to do. People do not know that it is very, very different from a heart attack. So I'm going to try to explain it the best way I can so that you know the difference. So a heart attack is a circulation problem. So that's something going on with your arteries that are circulating blood to your heart. But cardiac arrest is an electrical problem. So that's a completely different issue.
That's the abnormal heartbeat, is it?
No, not necessarily. Hold on, let me explain it to y'all. So think of your heart as a house, right? So what does your house have? Your house has doors, it has plumbing, it has electricity, right? So when a heart attack happens, think of that as a problem with your plumbing system. There's a blockage. So your plumbing is not working. So water is not getting to where it needs to get to in your house. So blood is not getting to the heart. So the heart essentially attacks itself and it's not beating the way that it should be beating. It hasn't stopped completely, but it's just not beating the way that it's supposed to. Your house isn't working like it's supposed to be working. Now, cardiac arrest, think of that as an electrical problem in your house. So an electrical problem, what happens when the electricity goes out in your house? Everything's flat, right? So that's what cardiac arrest is in your heart. So your heart has completely stopped. Nothing is working. So what does that mean? That means the person is not working. So they are unresponsive. So does that help you guys? Yes. Okay, good. I like to use that little exercise. Now, it's also important to remember that even though cardiac arrest and heart attack are different, it is important to know that a heart attack can cause cardiac arrest if it's not treated timely, of course. I'm sure we've all seen people have massive heart attacks and they unfortunately passed away from those. But the two are very different, so it's important to know the difference between the two. Yes, ma'am.
So that's why when people have a cardiac arrest, they need to put them on defibrillators or pacemakers.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that. Well, Andrew is going to help us talk about that. Okay, so warning signs of cardiac arrest. It's really only two. Sudden loss of responsiveness, and no normal breathing. So that means somebody is just completely out of it, like Andrew is right here. Just completely not responsive at all. Now, what do you do if you see someone that's passed out and they're unresponsive? What should you do?
Call 911.
Call 911, and what else? Y'all know what y'all talking about today, and I'm gonna show y'all CPR a little towards the end. Okay. Now, what is a stroke? So a stroke happens when there's an interruption of blood flow to the brain. So again, another blockage. And let's see here. I wanted to talk about TIA, which is often referred to as a mini stroke. And a lot of times people, even providers, unfortunately, really dismiss mini strokes. But it's important to know that a mini stroke or a TIA is really kind of like an alarm system. This really should be telling you that there's something deeper going on and that you need to be continuing to follow with your primary care, maybe time for a lifestyle change, just really get your whole, body in check. And warning signs of stroke. Does anyone know what warning signs of stroke are?
Sometimes the speech should be slurred.
Numbness, okay. Okay,
Also balance.
Yep, okay. I got a quick way for y'all to remember. You know why it's so important to know the warning signs of stroke?
Because it's quick. It's quick. You can go quick.
Yes.
If you have a stroke.
Yes, absolutely. So it's important to remember the FAST acronym. So the F in FAST, that's right, y'all. Well, I have a handout, so if y'all don't want to write it down, you don't have to. Yeah, that'd be great. Here you go. Thank you so much. So the F in FAST stands for face. So when you see someone that's having a stroke, you'll see the facial drooping. You can ask them to say something, and they'll be talking, and one side of their mouth may be like, down like this, and the other side is regular. So it's important to remember that. The A in FAST is for arm. So the arm may be drooping. The arm will probably be numb. It's normally always on one side, the left or the right side. So it's important to look at their arm as well. The S, I'm sorry, wait a minute, what's the next letter? The S in FAST is for slurred speech. So as this gentleman said here, slurred speech, just speech in general. If their speech is off, if they sound slurred, if they're not, sounding like they normally would, you can ask them to say something, and if it doesn't sound like it's supposed to, then something is absolutely going wrong with them. And the T is for time. So time is brain. That's what I like to tell people. The quicker you can get someone emergency help, the quicker you can save their brain. The quicker their recovery is not going to be as difficult. You need to get them the emergency assistance that they need as soon as possible.
So is there anything, so say I feel something. Is there anything I can do until I get to, or maybe the rest of the family in another room, is there anything I can be doing until they realize, or I call them, whatever?
While you're having a stroke? Yeah. Not to my knowledge. Okay. Now I have heard in some instances with, this is just from, me working in a clinic. In some instances, I've heard baby aspirins for if you feel like, you're having that chest pain, or if you feel like something is happening with your heart, pop a baby aspirin when the EMS is on the way. I'm not recommending that, but that's just what I've, heard from clinicians. But for stroke, no. You need to get emergency help as soon as possible. If anyone you see is exhibiting any symptoms, or if even you yourself feel like, and a lot of times people, so actually my executive director, her mother had a stroke in the grocery store. And her mom was saying, well, I wasn't really feeling the best, but I went to the store anyway. So a lot of times you don't really know that something is as wrong as it is. So that's why it's important for other people to know what the symptoms are. And oddly enough, I forgot what grocery store she was in, but when she got to the cash register, the lady at the cash register, they had just had this fast training, so knowing what the symptoms are 2 weeks before she came in the store.
Wow.
So when she was looking at her and she's in line, she's like, ma'am, I think you're having a stroke. Face was drooping, speech was slurred, and to her mom, she felt, normal, but her speech was slurred and she didn't even realize that her speech was slurred. So that's why, you know, it's important for me and you all to know what the symptoms are, because this person that, you know, you're looking at in front of you, they may not feel like anything is wrong. But if you feel like something is wrong, then you need to call 911 as soon as possible. Because time is brain.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
How long before you realize yourself, like say, that you know that something is wrong with you having a stroke? Because my sister did something almost the same way. She was in the store, she actually lost control of the basket, went down, they came and checked her, but she said, I don't want to go to the hospital, went home.
Yeah.
And then we found out the next day she had a stroke, she couldn't move out of bed.
Yeah, a lot of times it takes a while, and people often, and I've seen it a lot with strokes, not so much with heart attack, but when someone is having a stroke, they're in serious denial for whatever reason. Yes, exactly, yeah, because their brain is not, there's a blockage to the brain, blood is not getting to the brain, so the oxygen, nutrients that the brain needs to function properly, that's not happening, so of course what they're saying is not making sense. Yeah, so unfortunately, and you know, a lot of times it does take a while because people don't know what the symptoms are. You know, people are combative. They don't want to go to the emergency room because they think everything is fine. But it's so important to know what your symptoms are and to really try to insist that they, you know, seek emergency care, even if they are saying, I don't want to go.
She didn't tell us about it, we had to find out about it.
No, my goodness. No.
She's doing all right now.
I was going to say, is she doing okay now? That's good. That's good. Any other questions about stroke? I also wanted to tell you guys that about 4 out of 5 strokes can be prevented through healthy lifestyle changes. So eating healthy, limiting your salt intake, that's really important for stroke because that's important for high blood pressure, which leads to stroke. It's also important.
Yes. Is it possible that you can have, especially like a mini stroke while you're sleeping, and then don't even realize that you had it?
Yeah, I think that's completely possible. People, you know, also have heart attacks in their sleep as well. Yeah. That's absolutely important to remember. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you can have, I can tell you, because I had a mini stroke.
Yeah.
And I never knew about it until I went to the hospital years later, and when they did a scan, they told me I had a TI.
Yeah. Same thing happened to my mom. She had a heart attack and didn't know. She didn't know till she ended up going to cardiologist for what do they call it? Pre-op for a surgery. And they asked her, they said, ma'am, have you had a heart attack before? And she's like, no, not to my knowledge. And they could see on the screen when they ran the numbers that she actually had experienced one. They didn't know when, but it had happened at some point. Yeah. And again, that goes back to the symptoms. She probably thought it was just jaw pain or shoulder pain, which she does have a lot of shoulder pain, a lot of arthritis. So that's why it's so I can't say this enough. It's so important to know your body, and if you feel like something is out of whack, get it checked out. It's better to be safe than sorry, especially if you have insurance. It's no excuse. Just get it checked out. That's the most important thing that I want you all to drive home as well. I also have some stroke pamphlets that I'm gonna give you guys as well. That probably has some more stroke information as well as the fast warning signs, and really explain to you what stroke is, because you know a lot of people don't really understand it. A lot of people don't really know how high blood pressure, you know, connects to having strokes. So I'm going to give those to you guys as well. Any questions before I move on to CPR as well as Life's Essential 8?
But before you move on, as far as the heart attack is concerned, is it because you had mentioned sometimes you think it's indigestion? Can it actually be indigestion or something like that, or
could be?
So how would you distinguish the two? Yeah.
I would look at it like this, because typically when you have indigestion, you have to eat something that gives you indigestion, right? Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah. So if you've eaten something previously and you're like, okay, it must be indigestion, then, you know, and if it goes away, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. But typically with heart attacks, it doesn't go away and you continue to, you know, have the pain.
So it wouldn't be something like, oh, last night I ate that, oh, I'm still feeling it.
Yeah,
it's not like that.
Yeah, like if you had, you know, could give me indigestion, like spaghetti or something. You had spaghetti and and later that night you're feeling it, then okay, like cause and effect type thing.
Right.
If you haven't done anything, and especially if you haven't really eaten that much that day, or really done anything to cause the indigestion, then yeah, you shouldn't be having indigestion for no reason. Yeah. Either way, it's important to get it checked out, because even though you haven't eaten anything to cause the indigestion, you still shouldn't be having indigestion for no reason, even if that is what it ends up being. But it's important to just get it checked out.
And then another question about your heart.
Yeah.
Can you feel your heart like skipping a beat or something of that?
I've heard that you can. I've heard people, they skip heartbeats, or they have an irregular heartbeat and they can feel it.
It's not an ongoing thing, but every now and then.
I've heard that, yeah. I mean, it's always great to mention it to your doctor, because I actually experience heart palpitations more often than I would like. So I mentioned that to my provider, and she talked to me about it, and she actually asked me, "Are you a heavy coffee drinker?" And I had to confess and say yes, that I do drink quite a bit of coffee. So she told me to just try to cut back on the coffee, and I really don't have too many of the palpitations anymore. So it could be something else as well. So that's even more of a reason why anytime that you're having something going on, especially with your heart, or really anything that's out of the norm for you, talk to your doctor about it.
Is it the caffeine or just coffee?
The caffeine, yeah. The way I drink it is caffeine, girl. Okay, so Life's Essential Aids. So Life's Essential Aid is something that the American Heart Association has come up with to really explain to people how to live a healthy lifestyle and decrease your risk factors for heart disease. It used to be called Life Simple 7. It's no longer called Life Simple 7 anymore, because they've added one element to teach people, the importance of lowering your risk factors. So they basically added one more thing that's important to lower your risk factors for heart disease. So after I go through these, I'm going to ask, what do you all think the 8th element is? So the first one is getting active. So exercising. The American Heart Association, as the gentleman said earlier, we also recommend 150 minutes of exercise a week. Now I know that sounds really like that's a lot of exercise. I'm not exercising that much. It's only 30 minutes for 5 days out of the week. It's not too bad. So make sure you commit to that. Eating better, so eating a variety of fruits and vegetables, making sure that you're getting that intake in, avoiding those foods that are highly saturated fats, limiting salt intake as well. Don't sprinkle salt on your food, but also make sure that you're reading your labels and seeing how much sodium is in what you're consuming. You'll be surprised, these foods that are in the grocery store, and how much sodium is in them, so make sure you're paying attention to that as well. The third one is losing weight, which coincides with eating better and exercising. What I really like about these is that they all kind of flow together. So if you're doing 2 or 3, then you're really doing all of them, because they all work together for your good. The 4th element, stopping smoking. Now I think we have that issue in here with anyone. So if you know someone that's a smoker, encourage them to stop. Don't start smoking. Just that self-explanatory. The 5th element is controlling your cholesterol. So if you have high cholesterol, getting it in check, eating better so that your cholesterol does not continue to get high, and that it will eventually go down, and that goes hand in hand with weight loss as well. Number 6 is managing your blood pressure. So if you take high blood pressure medication, making sure that you take it like you're supposed to, making sure that you know what your numbers are. Know if you have high blood pressure. If you don't have high blood pressure, try not to get it, Limit your salt intake, eat healthy, and exercise so that you're not more susceptible to getting high blood pressure. And the last one is reducing your blood sugar. So if you do have diabetes, getting it under control. Get with the diabetes educator, as he was saying earlier. It's so important because, everything really coincides together within your body. So if you keep everything in check, then everything is good. So I said those 7 things. We recently added an 8th element. So what do you all think it is?
Could it be sleep?
You want it. Yes. Getting a good amount of sleep. Because if you think about it, you're doing all these great things, eating right, exercising, all the things, But does it really matter if your body's not resting like it should be, if you're not getting enough rest to reset your body? So yes, get enough sleep. We say 7 to 8 hours. I know that sounds like a lot because I struggle getting to 7 to 8 hours myself, but it's so important for your overall health and for your heart. All right, any questions before I do some work on Andrew here real quick? Just take like 5 minutes. Okay. All right, so remember earlier when I was saying that cardiac arrest, if someone goes into cardiac arrest, they're going to be unresponsive and not breathing, right? So this is Andrew. Andrew is sick, y'all. He is unresponsive. He has passed out, and his heart has completely stopped. And he needs CPR. So what am I going to do? What am I to do, right? So let's say I'm walking in here, and I see Andrew pass out, and I'm like, oh my goodness, Andrew. So the first thing, trying to act it out for you guys. So the first thing I want to do is really check to see if he's unresponsive. Because you don't want to do CPR on someone that their blood sugar might have just got too high or something and they just passed out. That is not going to be good for them. They're going to be very upset with you if you do CPR.
I don't know, they might like it if it's a guy.
Oh no! I'm not going there.
So when you say check for unresponsive,
Yeah, so just go up to Andrew or whoever and say, Andrew, can you hear me? Andrew, are you there? Just tap him a little bit. And if they're truly unresponsive, then you doing all that, they're not going to respond. So that is really all we're saying. Just check to see if they're responsive. So after you see that Andrew is not responsive, you want to immediately start hands-only CPR. Now, what I want everyone to understand here is I'm saying hands-only CPR. There's no breaths involved. You don't have to give anyone mouth to mouth. They have now recommended that hands-only CPR, yes, it's just as, just chest compressions at 100 to 120 beats per minute. Yeah, I'm going to show you guys that. The reason they did that is because it was really a barrier. A lot of people, especially with COVID, didn't want to give mouth to mouth. Really just in general, you know, you see someone you don't know, yeah, you want to help them, but do you want to put your mouth on them? Really? Yeah, so that's why they eliminated that. So after we check if Andrew is unresponsive, which he is, the next thing you're going to do is call 911. A lot of people just immediately start compressions, but that's not helpful if EMS is not on the way. So the next thing you're going to do is call 911. If you're by yourself, call 911, put it on speakerphone. If someone else is around, tell them to call 911 for you so that way you can get to the compressions quick. Okay, any questions before I start bringing Andrew back to life? All right, so with hands-only CPR, you want to push hard and fast in the center of the chest. You want to use this part of your hand. So that way that's going to allow you to push down as hard as you need to, right? Now, Andrew is probably going to be on the floor. I'm not going to get on the floor, though. I'm going to try to do it from this table. So you want to get over him like this, and you want to push hard and fast. In my head, yeah. Okay. So you want to keep doing that nonstop until EMS arrives. Now the other element of this that we added to it as well, if there's an AED available, if it's not, that's fine, continue doing the chest compressions. If an AED is available, we highly recommend sending someone to get an AED. If you're by yourself, it's fine to stop compressions after you've given some. Go get the AED and bring it back and see if the person needs a shot. Now, I know y'all are probably like, how do I know that? The good thing about AEDs is the AED now, they talk to you. They tell you if the person needs a shot or not.
Okay, so what's AED?
So it's an automated external defibrillator. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's going to give Andrew a shot. I don't have it with me, but if you have one. So you pull it out of the, it's normally in a box with a handle. Take it out of the box, and it comes with the little leaflets, whatever they're called. It tells you where to put them, so you're not putting them in the wrong place. You put them where they're supposed to go, and you push the button, and it'll say to you, shot needed, if the person needs a shot. And I know this because I've seen it in the hospital before. Tells you whether they need a shot. You push the button to deliver the shot, and then it says shot, administered, or delivered, whatever it says, and then you continue the compressions from there. So it makes it very, very, very simple to save a life. The only thing you need is the training, which I just showed you guys, and the adrenaline rush that you're gonna get with trying to help someone once you see them pass out. Yes, ma'am.
So you can get the AED to go in a place like this?
I said that again?
The AED can be placed here?
Yes. So a lot of places have AEDs on site. So if you have an AED on site, then yes, then go get it if someone is passed out from cardiac arrest and deliver the shot. But if one's not available, because a lot of places don't, have them on site, then the compressions are just enough. Because EMS is going to do that when they arrive, if you haven't already done so with an AED, especially if one wasn't available.
So
Yes.
no, I'm confusing it with the old way you do it, but you never stop to check to see if they're breathing?
No, you don't have to do that. This is hands-only CPR, so just the compressions. Because you think about it, you're acting as this person's heartbeat. A lot of people say, I don't want to push down too hard, I don't want to break any ribs. A lot of times, if you're doing it hard enough, you will break some ribs. A lot of times, because that's how hard you need to be pressing down in the center of their chest.
Okay. She just asked you, do you stop and check to see if they come around? No. And the question is, what if they have started breathing as you're doing that?
So what you will know if someone is, back, responsive, because CPR is not pleasant on someone that's responsive. So if they have come back if you successfully brought them back, then you'll know.
But I said,
Yes,
you didn't stop, right?
No, you don't stop. They'll stop you once they, come to.
No, I'm saying if they came around while you're doing it.
You stop. Yes. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
But that's why I brought it up, but she asked you, do you stop and check?
No. Don't. So if they're still laying there, then no. Then just continue the compressions. But if they're showing any signs of life, if they just jump up and be like, oh, I'm okay, then stop.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry, I misunderstood y'all.
On babies, how do you do, what do you do for babies?
So
Or small children?
Yes, so hands-on CPR, the way that I just did it is for teens and adults. So I guess teens would be 13 and older, probably, depending on, because some 12, 11 year olds. Yeah, depending on the size. But toddlers and infants, so it's the same concept. The only thing is you use 2 fingers in the center of the chest. And I normally have the dummy with me. I don't have it with me today. But we also have the CPR little Andrew. And that's how you would do it on a baby. In the same spot, center of the chest, but you push down like this with 2 fingers. So you're not going to use your hand at all, because that's going to be too much pressure for a child, and push down that way with your fingers. Hopefully you don't have to, but if you do, it's 2 fingers for toddlers and infants. Any questions? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Right, anything else? Thank you so much. Get the rest out of my car.
Okay, so let's give Brianna another round of applause. Her information was out here. Everybody has So we're moving right along. I'm looking for schedules, but But I hope everybody's enjoying this. I hope you're getting a lot of information. If it doesn't apply to you, then you know a loved one, a friend, you know what to do. Maybe they'll feel a little safer with you in their room, in their space, and that kind of thing. But now we're gonna I'm gonna pull her up. I'm sorry, I'm not pulling her up. Our next person, last but not least, is Laila Ashanti, and she's going to talk about stopping the bleed. So it kind of goes in with doing CPR, first aid kind of thing. But she's gonna tell you all about it. And then she's gonna tell you about a movement she started. And she told me to stop talking.
I am Laila Ashanti. I was trained on my job. I work for Centera Healthcare System. The emergency management team deemed certain things that all employees and communities need to save lives, and one of them would be stop the bleed. So this focused on, in addition to, it's not always gunshot wounds, but although that is a major thing, unfortunately, in this country, it could be an accident, it could be a DIY, I'm a DIYer, it could be a DIY project, it could be someone dealing with fireworks or something like that. So this started right after Sandy Hook. So I'm getting the name right, the Academy of Trauma Surgeons, in partnership with Combat Trauma National Registry for EMTs, deemed certain ways to save lives and stopping the bleed, stopping one from bleeding to death after they've already been wounded would be the most essential way. And then community would be, because the EMS are not always there, so community would be helpful in stopping the bleed, okay? Questions so far? I do have some handouts for you guys, and also I want, if possible, I have something for you to hang up because everyone doesn't know. Now this can be applied here, at home, at work. This can be everywhere. This could be in the grocery store because we know mass casualties are a thing, not necessarily shooting mass casualties, although I'm going to give you some numbers. 2022, there were 647 mass shootings in this country, okay? This year, there have been 80 mass shootings, and there have been 20 in Norfolk alone, okay? This year alone. This year, we're only in February, but also keep in mind, stop the bleed is not just gunshot wounds. This could be a car accident. This could be you doing a home project. This could be kids playing, and we know, the potential dangers that come with that one. So, essentially, and I have a tourniquet here, I'll demonstrate here. You can pass this around too. So, essentially, we use tourniquets to stop the bleed, and I have a little paper here. So, if there is a let's say I was playing with fireworks. I was playing with fireworks and my arm or my hand was going. Danny, you want to come up here? So he's going to be my demonstrator. I'm going to demonstrate on him. So essentially, I'm going to instruct him on what to do to save my life, okay? So essentially, we are taught from the neck to our groin, you cannot apply a tourniquet because these are junctions. So if there's something, a wound in my arm, you would pack it and get me to an emergency center like everyone has said. Now if my legs, if there's something going on with my legs, like maybe I dropped a firework on my leg or something, you would apply your tourniquet above the junctions, above your elbows, and then you would tighten it and then of course get me to an emergency trauma unit, okay? Any questions so far? I'll demonstrate on him. So, let's say your arm. Let's say something was going on, like there is blood right here, okay? So you want to apply your tourniquet further up, closest to your heart, okay? And you tighten it. And it will be uncomfortable, but make sure it's not over any junctions, it's not over any elbows, okay? Because that doesn't make sense if you are, and also because the clothes are so kind of thick. Okay, you see how that's not really staying? If it's over the junctions, it's not going to stay. Like if the wound is here, even if the wound is right above his elbow, put it up closest to your heart and tighten it up as much as you can, okay? This might hurt, my apologies. So tighten it, okay? So essentially we want to make sure that we are stopping the bleed and getting this person to an emergency medical trauma unit. So there is, and I bought these from Amazon, so there is a little kit that you can buy from stopthebleed.org. So we know in this country there are unfortunate enemies against black people just in general. We could be at the grocery store, we could be minding our own business. We've seen in New Zealand the mosque shooting. Do you guys have a first aid kit here? Is there anything here? Okay, so that's the homework. I would like for that to be hanging up on the wall, because it is essential in our community. We are lacking, we are at a deficit on so many things, and I would like for us to be proactive versus reactive on even the health, even the heart health, even the nutrition. Let's be proactive versus reacting to things. We know what to do. We lose the need to panic when we're prepared. Okay? So you're prepared with the tourniquet, you're prepared with knowing how to pack a wound. So these are junctions, and the same for a leg. So I'm going to do it for the leg as well. So there's a timer up here that you put 2 hours in there. We are told that after 2 hours, that means your body will go into shock, okay? But going into shock does not equate to you bleeding to death. If I apply this tourniquet correctly, he will not bleed to death, or your person will not bleed to death. So I'll show you on the leg, and it will So let's say the issue was his foot, and there was blood pooling or splurting or anything, okay? So his knee is right here. I'm not going to put it over his knee. Bend your leg. So you see how that's not going to be helpful? If I tighten it up, put it here, and then tighten this little wind peel, tighten it as much as I can. You feel it? As much as I can. And then put the time. 2 hours from the time that I put, he should be in emergency in a trauma center, okay? So this is essential for so many things, not just gunshot wounds, not just not just car accidents. This could be you falling off your roof and now something bad is happening to you. So those were limbs. We wouldn't pack the box from our neck to our groin. That means, tourniquet, of course, our neck. We would pack it with, let's say this is a hole. You would pack it with gauze, or if you're in your car and you don't have this, anything like old socks, an old towel, pack it, and get to a trauma center, of course. Any questions?
Yes, so you recommend everybody have one?
Everyone. I have one in my car and I have one in my house. This is a CAT tourniquet, C-A-T, combat application tourniquet. Yes. I tuned for it wasn't expensive. It was not, I'll send you the link. It was not expensive at all. Yes.
Suppose I don't have a tourniquet. What old school would say tear ragging.
If it can, yes. So the goal is to stop the pool bleeding. And you would see, and also if he were screaming, we still would not stop. So if, like, let's say I did not have a tourniquet, but I had a belt, like I had shoestrings for maybe a smaller child, then you would do that. Tie, of course, go above 2 to 4 inches above the wound, closest to the heart if possible, tighten it and get them to an emergency trauma unit. And that's just for limbs. Now, if it were the box, you would pack it, and there's nothing you can do besides get that person, make sure the emergency management team, like she said, has been called, and get them to an emergency trauma unit. Yes?
You just answered my question.
Okay, anything? Yes? That should help, but if it's able to be tied, because this is very, like, I guess you can pass, I have another, you can pass it around. If it's able to be, yes. If your scarf is able to be tied and locked so nothing can get through, because we do not want to pulse in the area, because if it is a pulse, it's still blood. Anything else? So essentially, some of the questions, some of the issues that we encounter was, well, what if the patient, the person is screaming? And it's typically not a patient, because it will be somewhere. We know we can't go. We are targets, so we have issues at the grocery store, we have issues while we're jogging, we have issues at the movie theater, we have issues in our house of prayers. So anywhere where we won't be patient, this could be your colleague. Share this information. This could be your coworker. This could be your friend. This could be your family member. So essentially, if they are screaming, take it off. It hurts. It will hurt, but they could possibly bleed to death. Do not take it off. Let the trauma people take it off when you get to an emergency center. And don't take it off to see if it's still bleeding, because it probably is still bleeding, okay? Any questions? And interrupt me at any time. So I recently, like you said, I recently was reading about the belts. Sometimes they are not necessarily the best because they are so hard. Like the genuine leather belts are not necessarily the best because they are made to be durable and sturdy and not necessarily able to wrap around your limbs. But get a tourniquet. Go on eBay. I got 2 of these, I believe, for like $12. Get a tourniquet. StopTheBleed.org. Get a Stop the Bleed kit in here. Get your first aid kit in here. Do you guys have a first aid kit in your home? Show of hands that you do. Okay. And what's in your first aid kit? Alcohol. Okay. Right. So get a tourniquet. Get a tourniquet. But how old is the alcohol? Like when would you last? Like it expires. Have you checked it? How old is it? How old is it? Check it. Check it, because mine's not expired. Because when you have it and it expired, what good is it? You know what good? It is not useful to have expired things. So we want to be proactive versus reacting. And I have no idea. Yes, ma'am.
They have different types of kits. Ones that are more basic, like Band-Aids and gauze, antibiotic creams. I mean, like, how big do we need to get? Like,
So I would say, so because I was trained by the emergency management people at Centennial Healthcare, they're on a bigger level. But if this is at your house, I wouldn't say just Band-Aids. I wouldn't say Band-Aids at all. I would get your gauze, get your packing units, get your tourniquet for sure. Your tourniquet for sure. And I can send some links to, I'll send it to you and then you just send it out to everything that I have in my home. I also have this in my car, in my go bag. How many of you guys have a go bag? Like an emergency kit. If something goes down, it's in your car. Good for you. It's in your car. Oh, you have a question or you have a go bag? Oh, good to see you. So it's emergency. If something goes down, it's there. You don't have to panic when, I'm going to say this again. You do not have to panic when you are prepared, okay? So another thing that was addressed, what if it hurts, of course, and then for the children, like the smaller limb kids or whatever, shoestrings or just pack it, because we know children jump off things and could potentially hurt themselves, but you could use a shoestring, wrap it around a couple times. Don't check it to see if it's still bleeding, because it probably is. Pack it and get that baby to an emergency trauma unit, okay? And then also another question that we came up with, or that questions were posed, what if I don't have gloves? Of course, there's always a risk of an infectious disease. So risk of exposure to anything is less than 3% if you have an open wound. And then if you don't have an open wound, it's less than 0.1%, okay? So the odds are very, very low. However, there are things that you can do once you get to an emergency trauma unit. You can tell them there was a potential exposure, and they could potentially give you prophylaxis, okay? So don't worry about that too much. And also, if you don't have open wounds, you are probably at a 0.1% chance, less than that, okay? So of course, if you do get to the emergency department and let them know. So you can remember, you can't apply a tourniquet to the neck, and you can't apply it, like let's say I had a wound in my armpit. Like a tourniquet just would not work. So we would pack it. And this would lead, if it's not packed, internal bleeding that we would never see. We would never know, okay? So pack it and get me to the emergency department. So the armpits are one, the growing area also. If it's a wound there, it could potentially never bleed out. It can never spurt, but there will be internal bleeding, and then the person is just, we don't know what happened to them, and then when they finally get to a trauma center, they bled to death internally, okay? And if the patient is screaming, you still don't remove it. Remember the goal. So my goal is to reach everyone, our community, so we are not at a deficit. We are able to save lives. We are able to reach other people, even if you don't or I'm not sure, I don't have a tourniquet, I'm not sure what to do, I just don't know. You know, one, also, from the very beginning, secure the site, make sure it's secure. If there's a car accident, make sure there are no other cars driving towards you, so you're not now a victim or a patient yourself. Secure the site, like she said, make sure you or make sure someone, don't assume that the EMTs have been called. Make sure, hear someone say, I've called the ambulance, or I've called 911. Don't assume someone has called it, because a lot of times everybody is assuming that, and then no one has called, and then we're waiting. And also with that, we know that our demographic, we know the response of the EMSs in certain neighborhoods. Help is not coming. We need to do it ourselves. We have to do it ourselves. We have to be a community and teaching this to other people. We have to be, even with the good brother here and the good sister here, we have to advocate for ourselves and teach ourselves these things. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns, reattacks? Put it right back to me. Was this helpful? I hope it was. Oh yes, no shut up. So, no, you're fine. So I do have, I forgot, thank you. So, Fit with Laila LLC, I am a personal trainer. I have Run for Your Life, my run group, Grow for Your Life, where Grow for Your Life is simply me displaying my garden on social media. So Grow for Your Life is my group, Run for Your Life is my run group. It is free to everyone. Essentially what it says is what it means. So let's use something good. Let's say you are making, you have to, you know, the business of flights nowadays. You are on your way to Hajj, and you have a short connecting flight, and you have to run through the airport. Can you do it? Can you do it? You know, can you do it? So essentially, Run for Your Life, we move together. We go together as a unit. There is no one too fast, no one too slow. It's only 30 minutes, and we're going together. Run for your life, save your life, move, basically, move. Movement is key. 30 minutes, that's it. And it's essentially, I'm not mature enough to run in the winter right now, so when it gets warm enough, then we will be outside. We will be outside, okay? So Run for Your Life, Grow for Your Life. Like the young lady said earlier, we do want to grow our own food. And the cost of food is kind of crazy right now. I'm growing everything for my salads, everything I'm growing. I already picked up my seeds. I'm trying to be proactive with it, because even if it's labeled organic, we have no idea, you know? So we want to be proactive with, even if it's just you guys growing a single thing, one thing each. Imagine if you all grew something different and you all had an abundance of it and traded it with each other here, you know? Imagine that. Yes, ma'am.
I have one question that really struck me when you said the one group. How old is that group?
There's no age to running. Like, you can move. It's because there's no weakest link, there's no fastest link, no best link. We move it together. So if you're walking, we're walking too.
Okay, so the reason I say that, I am a walker. And I've been walking like from way back when. And I continue today, even after knee surgery. And they'll tell you I'm a garden lover. So all that stuff that you're talking about, the mental, the health, and the growth, all that comes together. But I just wanted to know, where does your group walk? Do you guys have a special place?
I want to move it. We were doing the Jordan Bridge, which is that connects Chesapeake and Portsmouth. I want to move it to different places. It is high. It's about, I think it's 191 feet, but fear is a choice. If you do have a fear of heights, that is a choice. So we're there.
I have tickets for 6.
It's no, we're outside. Come. Not this Saturday.
But no, whenever you're ready.
Yes. Come on. It's Saturday and Sunday.
I do 3 miles.
Oh, good for you. So the bridge is 1 mile, but we have to get back. Okay, so it's 2 miles.
We'll connect.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, sir.
What's the alternative to the Jordan Bridge?
So there are, of course, anywhere in your neighborhood, but I do the Jordan Bridge simply for the resistance of that ginormous incline. Like, you get it immediately. You get it immediately. But I want to do other places too, like just maybe downtown Norfolk, somewhere walkable where there is a sidewalk and we can do it. I know it's not really walkable in Chesapeake where I live, but anyway, yes, ma'am. So spider fell in my head when I was out there. I'm traumatized. I have a caterpillar and a spider, and I didn't know until I was in the shower. And I mean, it's pretty, it's gorgeous, but it was in my head, and I don't. Yes, ma'am.
Facebook?
Instagram.
Okay, so is it run?
Run.for.your life. And Grow for Your Life is just Grow for Your Life. So essentially, Grow for Your Life is me encouraging everybody, grow your own food, and also, like the good brother said, read your ingredients, because we do not need to be at a deficit. We have so many things against us in this country. Read what you are ingesting. And I'm just going to piggyback to, what he said earlier, and I didn't want to interrupt you. So I used to really, really like Ken's Steakhouse salad dressing. I do not consume animal flesh at all. That is Italian's, Ken's Steakhouse Italian salad dressing. It has anchovies in it. And that really threw me because one, I don't consume animal flesh, and two, why does anchovies need to be in Italian salad dressing? If I would not have read it, and the sodium content is crazy, that's probably why it's so good. But I had no idea. Now I make my own, but if I would not have read it, I would have still been consuming anchovies and had a high sodium content, just loving salad, because I love salad. But it really annoyed me. So read your ingredients. Awesome. Yes. Any questions? Any other questions, comments, concerns? Good job,
Thank you, Laila, for the insight and enthusiasm. Right now, I just want to present the speakers. I have a little gift for everybody. Okay, so Abdul, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. It's a little something that you know we appreciate. And Lord, thank you for we are ready to close out. We're going to have some slight refreshments, and of course they're going to be healthy refreshments, except the cheese, but I might not put that out. You might have to stick in the kitchen. And then I have infused water. It has cucumbers and lemons, and it's a good antioxidant. So feel free to get some. I'll put some more cups out. And we're going to get Brother Imam to close us out. And I just want to say thank you. This is my birthday.
والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
Okay, so I'm going to put the trays out.
Everyone has diabetes and they want to see the latest technology for testing the blood sugar.